I'm being labeled as heartless by my daughter's mother because I refused to cover our tween daughter's medical cost. Here's the situation. I started my startup company when I was 19 in college and needed extra money. I was friends with Molly for a couple of months and she had my number. She knew a woman who wanted to have a baby, but both she and her husband were infertile. The woman hired Molly and wanted to use her eggs, and Molly asked me to donate my part. I agreed, we did the deed, and they paid me well, so I could start my business. Long story short, something happened, and the couple didn't want the baby anymore. They went to court, and Molly kept the baby, not the money. I was already long gone by then, and honestly forgot I even had a bio daughter, till I got a phone call from Molly yesterday. To sum it all up, my bio daughter was recently diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. The doctor gave her a list of things that she now needs to survive, like a blood glucose monitor, test strips, lancets, insulin syringes, or pen needles. Without insurance, all these items cost over $1,000. Molly doesn't have insurance or anything to her name since she dropped out of college for a baby she couldn't afford. Before I could call anyone a liar, Molly sent me plenty of proof of medical papers of her daughter's papers and the needed cost. However, I told her no and reminded her that she fought in court to keep her and I wasn't paying a thing. But I'm guessing she didn't like my laughing tone because she began shouting. She began railing on how the first thing I say is no when I find out my daughter I've never met needs medical care. But I repeated my answer and told her I wasn't arguing about something I'd already decided on. But that's when she threatened to sue me for child support, shouting how I haven't paid anything in all these years and she will drain me dry, calling me a greedy, selfish person who could easily afford to pay for her daughter's medical bills without me even noticing anyone left my account. She even dared to say all the money I have rightfully belongs to our daughter since I used the donor money to help my startup, which is now very successful. But I immediately hung up and blocked her. I didn't feel like continually being threatened and screamed at for a child who isn't my responsibility. I'm about to have a child of my own with my wife, and I don't need this kind of stress. So am I the idiot for refusing to pay for my 12-year-old daughter's insulin, even though I can't afford it with ease? I came on this story fully ready to rip you a new one and call you a massive idiot, but much to my surprise, you're not the idiot. You were a donor in the formal sense, not the snarky deadbeat dad sense. And you absolutely didn't sign up for this. Everything that happened after your donation was utterly unforeseeable. You were never a father to the child and never were supposed to be. This simply isn't your child in anything but the most technical sense. She's just desperate. Was your donation done with legal representation? A contract? Based on the scenario you've presented, you're a donor and nothing more. Molly considered you as such until she needed money. Is she offering you visitation, a chance to get to know the child, or any role at all in a child's life? In any case, you may want to consult a lawyer. Based on a possible mandated DNA test, the state you or she is in could enforce child support. You donated with good intentions, and those intentions should not be held against you. Wait. So, by donating, you mean you just had intimacy with Molly? Dude, if you didn't do this legally with a sperm bank, you'll lose if she says that you got her pregnant and you have no legal documents proving that you donated sperm and have no responsibility over this child. If this is the case, you are the idiot, and also a dumb idiot for doing something like that in such a shady way. Yep, you are probably screwed if she sues you. OMG, so we just donated the old-fashioned way, in which case, congrats, Daddy, it's a girl. OP is legally screwed, I bet. Chances are a lawyer can tear apart the legal paperwork. It's legally his child, and she could sue for child support. Dude, it sounds like you met some folks who asked you and Molly to make them a baby, and they paid you both a hefty sum to do it. It doesn't sound like you went through a formalized institution, because donations don't pay the amount of money you're insinuating you got. Tell your wife what you did and pay for some of the kids' medical care. Then maybe next time, you'll think long and hard about this before just donating to anyone. A few years ago, I, 25 male, was accused of fathering a child with my sister's, 23 female, best friend. She had some weird obsession with me, as we came to find out. This accusation caused a lot of drama in the family, including for a long time, my parents refusing to talk to me for not taking responsibility and having this woman in their house to live. My stepsister, 26, did something I would never recommend anyone doing, but I'm so glad that it worked out for me. She outed me to my family as gay. My stepsister has been my BFF since we were 5 and before our parents were together, so she knows everything about me and was only one of 2 people to know. She did this out of frustration for how they treated me. Still, unfortunately, they thought it was a last-ditch effort to save face until my great-grandma, the other person to know, barreled in, telling everyone off for their BS and whipping them back into order. After that, we found out that my sister was in on this weird thing with her friend to baby trap me, so her friend could be with me and they could be sisters. The rest of the family disowned her for causing all that. Since then, my parents have been on thin ice, but have actually been very apologetic. And honestly, I feel like they overly favor me to make up for all of that. My sisters made contact with our parents, wanting to be a part of the family again. My parents gave me the option of letting her or not. I didn't take any of the options and told them to decide for themselves. But I did lay down the fact that I would no longer be a part of their lives if they let her back into the family. Am I the idiot for making my parents not welcome my sister back into the family? Edit. My sister's friend did not know I was gay. The only people who knew were my stepsister, 26, and my great-grandma. My other sister, 23, and her friend didn't know. I brought up paternity tests a lot, but at the time my family saw it as a desperate lie. Plus, I couldn't really force it unless I had money to petition a DNA test from the courts. I think my parents gave me the choice out of guilt for what happened. I can't be certain, but sister hasn't apologized. That's what bothers me so much. Yeah, not the idiot. Sis threw you under a very big bus for a very childish and selfish reason and was willing to let you pay whatever price came to you while she kept her mouth shut and got what she wanted. You're entirely in the right to say you're not going to have anything to do with her and anyone who accepts her over a stunt like that. She chose when she tried to commit paternity fraud on you. That is really weird behavior, and I truly hope for their sake that she's gotten help and is now stable. I truly am not sure I'd let someone who did something like that move into my house, especially if I hadn't been in contact with them for a while, even if it was my child. You're perfectly within your right to cut contact. Not sure an ultimatum will do any good, but you need to protect your own sanity. Sorry you've been put in this position. My husband and I have hosted Thanksgiving for the past 10 years. It's us, my 2 kids, my 2 older sisters and their husbands, my parents, and 5 to 10 additional guests. My husband cooks the turkey. I make all the main sides, plus a dessert and appetizers. If people want to bring something, they're welcome to, but not expected. I usually say they can bring a dessert or an appetizer. We always have plenty of wine, beer, juice, iced tea, soda, water, coffee, and tea. This year, my brother-in-law asked to host Thanksgiving at their house. My husband and I said we were happy to take a year off from cooking. Brother-in-law emailed the group, our family and his, saying how excited they were to host this year and that they'd be making 2 turkeys and cranberry sauce. That's what he'd be making for Thanksgiving dinner, hosted at his house. He said his mom was bringing coleslaw and a dessert, and my sister was buying some dessert. He then listed sides he might make or others could bring. He said to let them know if you'd like to bring something on the list or not on the list. The list included stuffing, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, gravy, rolls, and 4 other vegetable dishes. Corn was not on the list. Brother-in-law said they'd have iced tea, ice water, soda, tea, and beer. No wine, no juice for the kids. If you want coffee, they'd need a volunteer for that. They have a coffee machine, but you'd have to bring coffee filters, etc. Okay, I'm trying to be gracious. So I was the first to respond, saying I'd bring stuffing. Everyone loves my stuffing. And a side dish not on the list, but that my son loves and requested, as did my mom. Somebody volunteered to bring mashed potatoes, so I figured it would be fine. My kids can survive on turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, and my side dish. I can bring juice and wine. Received an update email. Brother-in-law's making twice-baked potatoes, and the 4 veggie dishes have yet to be claimed, but it's not too late to volunteer. Sister called me to ask if we were bringing our dog. I said, of course not. We'd already made arrangements for her. Anyway, since she called, I asked about the twice-baked potatoes. So she puts brother-in-law on the phone. She has no idea what food they're having. I wondered if there would be mashed potatoes. He said no, it would be twice-baked potatoes. I said I may bring some mashed potatoes for the kids. He said he could do some plain twice-baked, but I said I'd just bring mashed. The kids wouldn't eat the twice-baked. Okay, I'm not sure if the kids would eat the twice-baked, but I need and want regular mashed potatoes and corn at Thanksgiving. So in order not to host this year, I'll be bringing stuffing, my side dish, mashed potatoes, corn, wine, and juice. Am I the idiot for being irritated that Bill asked to host Thanksgiving, did ask for volunteers to do the majority of the meal, made no effort to consider what foods or drinks my kids or other guests would like to eat, and can't be bothered to buy wine, juice, and coffee filters? Oh my God, you are the idiot. You lost me early on, but then solidified it with your martyred sighs about corn. Not to mention that double-baked potatoes are not only freaking delicious, but they're essentially just mashed potatoes if you take the skins off. So you're being twice-baked ridiculous about how your precious kids couldn't adapt for one day in their lives. Twice-baked ridiculous is perfect. OP, your way of hosting isn't the only way. You chose to provide everything. He's choosing to host a potluck-style gathering. Both ways are perfectly fine. If there are things you would like to have at the dinner, you're free to bring them. And it doesn't sound like your sister or brother-in-law would be offended if you did. It sounds like the reason you're hosting so much is because you like having things your way. It won't surprise me if one of your sisters and brother-in-law's motives for offering to host this year is because you can be controlling, and they would prefer a more easygoing experience. Yeah, this is the most overdramatic story I've read today. Yes, of course you're the idiot. And I think you also need to remember what Thanksgiving is about, and it's not getting your special mashed potatoes. My eldest is getting married soon, and I have a beautiful wedding dress I promised my daughter that she could wear. It's basically a beaded ball gown. I have issues with my future daughter-in-law. It's nothing major, but she's spread words I didn't say. I'm only 44. In the beginning, I thought she was misunderstanding what I was saying, or I said something that made her mad, so I started to interact with her only through text, or when other people were around. I haven't had to use any of my messages until now. She tried to call me earlier this week, and I told her I was busy and to text it. I'm glad I did. She wanted to use my wedding dress and do alterations to it. I told her no, since I promised my daughter that it was hers. The next day, I got a ton of texts from my family members about me not being welcoming and telling her that she wasn't my kid. I got so many that I just took screenshots of the text and sent them to the whole family. The entire family was upset she'd lied to them. I got on a FaceTime call with my son and her, and my daughter was in the room during this. She gave me an apology, and I told her not to do it again. Now my son and she are angry that I didn't say, I forgive you. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She sounds like a drama hound who molds the world around her until she's a victim. Exhausting. Stand your ground. Just because she has your son whipped doesn't mean everyone else has to kowtow to her. If you haven't forgiven her, why would you say such? Then you'd be the liar. Honestly, I bet the only reason the future daughter-in-law wanted forgiveness was that she could twist it around and be like, so, since you forgive me, I can get the dress now, right? Daughter-in-law is sneaky, and it'll get worse. Just keep safeguarding yourself and urge your daughter to also start doing this. Honey, hang on tight, because there's a fun joyride coming your way with this daughter-in-law. The audacity to ask someone for someone else's wedding dress that they're keeping for their daughter, and then to complain about it to other people? Yeah, she's trouble. I have 3 entitled sisters-in-law who think they own the world, and my family needs to bend over backward for them. My mom and siblings did, but I don't want to be a part of that drama, so I went no contact. They spread a whole bunch of lies about what my family did to them, and the world believed them. Keep all your conversations via text. You sound like a smart woman. Keep your distance to keep your son in your own home happy. I've been dating Christine for the past couple of weeks. We met through a mutual friend. We're both in our mid-20s, and we've been on a few dates, and she's a nice person. However, on our last date, she said something to me that has stuck with me since. We were on the topic of past relationships and why they didn't work out. I asked her how many guys she had been with prior. She said, I honestly don't know, but I know it's more than 20, but less than 30. I nodded my head, but inside, I was taken aback. I've never been in a relationship or had intimacy before, so seeing how someone can have between 20 to 30 intimate partners is crazy to me. We continued the date as planned, and I drove her home. I told her I had a good time and I hope to see her again. While I'm respectful of her and her decisions, I personally don't want to commit to a woman who has slept with that many guys. I know that may come off as judgmental, but I just can't do it. I decided it was best to tell her I didn't think that this would work out. She can't go back and change her past, and I'm unwilling to change my views on the matter. The other night, I left her a voicemail saying, "This is Cedric. The last few weeks have been great, and I think you're a good person. However, I don't think this is going to work. Sorry for the inconvenience, and I hope you find what you're looking for." She's called me twice since then, but I don't have any plans to return her call. I don't feel I owe her anything, as I didn't ghost her because I've made it known I'd like to stop seeing her. I would just like to find someone who's a little bit more selective in who she decides to sleep with. Am I the idiot? No idiots here. It's very early, so breaking it off is no big deal. And you're not being hypocritical. You've not slept around. There's nothing wrong with wanting somebody who shares your values and attitudes toward intimacy. You left her a nice message, and you don't owe her any other explanations. There are plenty of women out there who will share your dating expectations and align with your views. I don't agree with that. Sleeping around when you're single doesn't mean you don't value a relationship when you're in one. Sometimes people may go through a period of not wanting to be in a serious relationship, but they may have something casual. Then one day they decide to be in a committed relationship. OP, you're allowed to have your deal breakers. You're polite, breaking things off. You've only been dating a few weeks. You don't owe her an explanation. At this point, even something like not feeling a connection is a valid enough reason to stop moving forward. She should accept it graciously. However, you might be doing yourself a disservice. Maybe not with this girl, but in general, you might miss out on something amazing because you're fixated on body count. I think your reason is foolish, but you're allowed to be foolish by any means.